Hey guys, my name's Matt Hernandez. This is Framed Up, and today I'm going to give you one of my favorite techniques for making the most out of not only every location you have when you're shooting portraits, but every pose. So we're here at McCracken County Soccer Field, and we're taking senior pictures for Josh. And one of the things that I try to avoid is taking too long because your client gets tired. This is one of my favorite ways to help shorten the time that you're actually shooting, especially with sports. That's one of the main times that I feel like I don't need to go quickly, but people want my really awesome action shots, so I can't do that the whole time. So I have to shoot more posed and not quite as dynamic, more safe shots, I guess, that I know are gonna work, and I wanna shoot those first as quickly as possible, without rushing, obviously, just to make sure that we have enough time to take the action shots, because if the kid's a really good athlete, then we might be able to get several different action shots, several different kicks in this example, soccer, or whatever sport it is. And if they're not that great, then we might just get one, but it may take 30 minutes to get that one. So you don't ever know, a lot of times going into it, what level of athlete you have. So that's why I want to get the boring stuff done a little bit sooner, rather than drag it out and only have, be an hour into it and then start taking the action shot, because they're going to be tired by then, because odds are we've probably already taken casual pictures before that, so they've been shooting for a couple hours. So and that's the part, like I said, they're excited about anyway, is the action. So we want to get to that as quickly as possible. So one of the problems that I've found is that it was really bad when I first started. I used to overshoot a lot, and I would end up with 1,000 pictures, not necessarily. And a lot of that too would be like if somebody's walking towards me, I might hold the shutter down, that kind of thing. I toned that down quite a bit relatively quickly, but you still don't want 500 or 600 pictures. You want maybe 150 to 200 is what I shoot for. So there's a technique that I like to use called tight, middle, wide. And so I don't actually have any primes. I switched to Sony, and I've got the Sony A1 today and the 70-200 2.8, the older one. So I like to use zooms because of the versatility, because you can use this technique with primes, but to me this is a little bit more efficient, and Sony's glass is so great. I mean, there's not going to be a whole lot of trade-off there. The primes are really sharp, but I'll take a couple of really good zooms any day. So I've got the 70-200 and 24-70. That's all I've got right now. So I've only had this camera system for about a year. I'm probably going to buy some more soon, but that gives me the whole range of what I want. It gives me pretty compressed, and it gives me extremely wide too. So the majority of the session, most of the time, is going to be with the 70-200. And then we switch to action, we're going to use the wide angle too, but I'll switch back and forth the whole time a little bit. So basically what this technique is I'll scoot back far enough that I can get him full body, and I'll take a 70mm shot. And because I've had this happen several times back, whenever I would not pay as much attention, like I said, and take the same frame several times in a row. And a parent might ask me, let's say I just zoomed in once, or I didn't zoom in that much. If it was real tight, they might ask me if I had a full body shot of the same look, the same outfit, the same angle. And several times I didn't, because I wasn't utilizing my zoom, and I wasn't really paying attention to maximizing everything. So now I try to be very conscious of this, and I don't always remember, but it helps the shoot go way faster if I do. So I scoot back, get him full body at 70mm, then I'll zoom in, and I don't look at the zoom, but I zoom in about halfway, take another shot, and I'll usually start vertical, and then I'll zoom in tight and get a good headshot at 200. And then, so let's say we start out serious. We can do that, so that's 3 frames, and then we turn it horizontal, and then we do the same thing. So that's 6 right there with the serious expression. And then if I have him smile, then you've got 12. So that's a lot of shots right there with just the exact same pose. And all we have to do to change it up is have him hold it in the middle. We could have him squat down maybe. We could have him turn a little bit. There's a lot of different things you can do just to change it up just a little bit in the same exact spot. Or I could switch to my 24-70 and go wide and go from 24 halfway in and then into 70 again, which the 70mm is going to be the same. So, so you might want to change the angle there, or the pose a little bit. But that's really going to help speed things along so you can get to the fun stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and explain the gear that I'm using and the settings and everything real quick, because I know that's probably the first thing most people are going to ask before we start shooting. So I've got, like I said, the Sony A1 70-200. I've got my 24-70 I'm going to switch to probably. I've got 2 FJ400s Westcott strobes with Westcott trigger, and then I've got deep focus reflectors on both of them. And then I don't have an assistant today, normally I do, but I've got these Hurley Pro water bags, which are really nice because you can dump them out when you get done. They don't have sand in them. So sand weighs down your car, they're hard to carry, that kind of thing, but you can empty these. So when I don't have an assistant, I make sure I'm bringing these. It is a little bit windy today, and you don't want these strobes to fall over, obviously. You want to protect your investment. So I'm gonna put both of those to sleep. I'm gonna back up. So I've got a symmetrical shot here. We've got a ramp, and it's the same on both sides. So one of my pet peeves is when people take a symmetrical shot and it's like half a step to the left or right, or the kids turned a little bit or something. If you're gonna do a symmetrical shot, I want it to be perfect. So we actually have an X here from when we did team pictures a few days ago that's still there. So we're gonna use that for a guide here. So I'm just gonna have him, I'm gonna tell him to move his feet out about the same width on each side of the X. So Josh, move your right foot out a little bit. There you go, good. He's got the logo nice and straight. I'm just gonna have him hold the ball right in the middle. I'm gonna scoot back up. So I'm at, which I already exposed for this, but it's gonna be 1/320th of a second, which is the highest I can go on the shutter speed. My ISO goes down to 50, so I'm at 50 and then F9. Like I said, normally I'd go more shallow, but this will work, I think. See if the light's changed at all. So I've got him vertically here. Okay. All right, so I've got detail in the hair, good edge light coming in. So now we're gonna turn on our main light first, and then the fill light second. Okay, that looks good. So I'm shooting at 70, but I'm not zoomed in where he's at the very top of the frame and the very bottom, because that could potentially crop weird if she wanted, like his mom wanted an 8x10 or something like that. So I left some room, but that allows me to get the stands in it too, so it creates a little bit more interesting background. Okay, all right, so we're at 70, good. Zoom in halfway, good. Perfect. All right, I'm gonna go horizontal. So now I'm gonna have to back up a little bit when I go horizontal, because I was a little bit too close to fit his feet. You don't want to cut his feet off. All right, so we just did serious, and we got 6 pictures out of that. So now we could say, I'm not big on telling people to smile. I like for it to happen like naturally. But for this case, since we're shooting a video and I'm not very funny, I don't want to have to wait 30 minutes to come up with a good joke. So just look like, give me a real smile. Make yourself laugh a little bit, maybe. There you go, good. That sounds really goofy to tell them to make themselves laugh, but it actually works, because what happens is they feel kind of silly and they start actually laughing because they're laughing at themselves. Good. Perfect. Good. And I don't do a ton of smiling pictures anyway with sports stuff, but this is just to show you, for example, like how many shots this technique can give you. Okay, so we use this lens. Now I'm gonna switch wide. I'm gonna change the pose up a little bit, which we could change the pose on this with this same lens before we switch, but just for sake of time, I'm just gonna switch lenses just so you can see a totally different look in the same technique. Okay, so I switched lenses and I scooted up because I've got a wider lens, obviously, and then I changed the pose. Now you could have changed the pose, you could have done a couple different ones with that first lens, but just for sake of time, I'm gonna show you the wide one now. Okay, so I'm gonna lay down when I'm going vertical here so I can see a little bit better. So when I'm going 24, I'm gonna go real wide. So I get the, well, obviously 24 is wide, but I wanna get the sky in it. I don't want it to be just him, just to get a little bit more the background in it. There we go, good. Good, one more. Can you put it up on your leg maybe? Yeah, there you go. So that 70 millimeter shot, the ball wasn't quite in it, so I had him change just a little bit. Put your forearm on top of it more. There you go, good. Good deal. Okay, so we got, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so we have 12 shots with with the same setup. We lowered our lights, obviously, but if you think about that and do the math, so that's 2 poses, and then you could go, 3 more places, and you're gonna have, so with just 4 setups, we could go real quick. And if you do 2 poses with each one, then you're gonna have, you might end up having too many. But but my point from earlier is, once you do that, then you can go take the action shots, which is what he's probably looking forward to anyway. So that about wraps it up for this video. Like I said, I'm just getting back into YouTube, so make sure that you subscribe, because I'm planning on posting a lot more of these. We actually have one more video that we're getting ready to film from this same exact setup, so you want to be sure and get a notification for that.